Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to film a video that touches upon themes of portfolio development, theme development, and really finding you through your photography. I mean, you could substitute that for whatever your medium is, but this one is particularly focused towards the art of photography. Touching upon my own creative journey, which has led me here to this point where I'm ready to host my first large-scale national exhibition at Oriel Plas Glynneweddw in May this year. I'm currently finalising the pieces that I would like to exhibit alongside small excerpts of written work from over the past 2 years that will add context and depth and meaning to my exhibition and to my message as an artist. Through the art of photography, I believe we have immense potential to communicate ourselves, to communicate who we are as people. And I believe that that's something that in the art of photography overall is something that is widely overlooked. I feel like other mediums celebrate the artist and the artist's message perhaps more so than photography does, as photography sometimes can focus a little bit too much on the technical settings of the camera and the location, the place where such a person is photographing, for example. My reasons for doing photography focus more on the development of me, on the development of the self, of the artist behind the work. And photography for me has been a tool for personal, spiritual development, and given me a vehicle really for growth and evolution as an artist. So really moving into 2025 and beyond, I would like to create more of these styles of video that really celebrate you, celebrate me, celebrate the people behind the creativity. And I hope that some of these videos might spark something that encourage you to look a little bit deeper into yourself, into your life, and to think about some of the things that have shaped you, that make you unique as I am unique. I mean, we are all unique. So I really want to use my platform, or certain parts of my platform, YouTube, for example, and blogs, to celebrate that within the art. Okay, so before I lose myself too much in rabbiting on about self-expression and empowerment of the artist and all of that stuff, portfolios. Why build a portfolio? Why develop a theme for your photography? Well, from my perspective, I want my photography, I want my art to communicate who I am as a person. I want it to be representative of me. I want it to represent sides of myself. And I want it in many ways to be recognizable so that people can look at a certain photograph and know, oh, that looks like something that Brad Carr has created. Because ego aside, I have something that I'm trying to say to the world with my art. There are many deeper, often subliminal messages behind my work, firstly as a whole, and then also around smaller collections of photographs within my collection as a whole. So the journey for an artist, I believe, is one of learning about the self, learning about who they are. And we can do this through the creation of our works and also through the maybe analyzing and reflecting upon our body of work, which is something that, I mean, I've been guilty of becoming quite obsessive over, to be honest, over the past 7 years since my journey began. I found myself constantly flicking through Instagram and just looking at and reflecting upon certain experiences and identifying maybe what certain photographs are saying about me. I have a range of prints that I often look at and just kind of marinate over and allow my mind to explore, to revisit and to reflect upon with kind of new eyes my past experiences. And I feel like my mind is constantly in this process of kind of self-reflection and reflection upon the work, and also a curation process, and has been since I began, a process of kind of eliminating certain photographs that maybe don't quite fit my portfolio anymore and kind of fit what I want to say. You know, there's some photographs, for example, that I have created that don't have a real story to them. And storytelling for me is something that is incredibly important as an artist. I like to be able to speak, I like to be able to write about my experiences in the landscape and about my experiences creating certain photographs. I've talked passionately before about the kind of journey to accrue wisdom through the creative process, because for me that's important, to accrue wisdom, to develop as a person, so that I can then pass it on to develop other people in the same way that I'm doing now. So taking it back a few steps, that's why I believe that it's so important that I have a body of work that can represent me as an artist, so that I can collate my messages and share my messages through that portfolio of work that stands on my website as one whole collection, which I've titled Finding Light, and then also through some sub categories and sub portfolios. One, for example, is A Year Amongst Trees, which touches upon themes of kind of revisiting the inner child, healing through interactions with woodland, and also just kind of reflect the introspective process and reflective process that I embark upon through my own art, my own creativity. Recently I've also developed, or started to develop, and I'll talk about how I've done this a little bit afterwards, but I've started to develop another portfolio titled Seeking Stillness, which really is reflective, I believe, in many ways of certain sides of myself. I've talked quite passionately about stillness. I've written a whole essay about stillness, talked about the powers of stillness when it comes to marinating creative ideas and kind of reflecting upon who we are. Something that I don't believe we have enough of in this modern world is stillness, is sitting and taking a breath and just being, allowing some silence. And it's incredibly important for me to make time and make space for that silence, especially when it comes to birthing new creative ideas. So I thought that it was only natural that I created a portfolio around stillness to share some of the messages that I wish to share about stillness. So that's a little bit about why I believe it's important to curate work into portfolios. And I'd be curious, maybe this is a little prompt for you to maybe sit with your journal, sit in silence, and reflect a little bit about maybe why you might wish to create a portfolio, because you must have some curiosity about it, hence why you find yourself here at this video. So opportunity for you to go and reflect and to introspect and just to think a little bit in maybe a deeper way as to why you might believe that you're at the point where you wish to do that. So how to begin developing a portfolio and themes to your work? Well, that might be a question that's come into your mind as I'm talking, and I thought that this would be a great opportunity to share with you my book, my first zine, A Year Amongst Trees, which came to me during the year of 2021, when I'd found myself obsessively visiting trees and visiting some of the woodlands that were on my doorstep here in Wales, to share time with the trees and to create photographs. And not only to create photographs, and this is vital in my opinion, on the pursuit of how to build a theme and how to, you know, understand who we are as artists, actually was the practice of journaling alongside my photography back throughout that year. So the idea for this zine was actually birthed in one of my journals back in that year when I sat beneath a tree during one of my photography mornings and began to write a few things down in my journal, some thoughts, feelings, some emotions, some experiences from the woodland that morning. It's something that I do, I mean, obsessively, to be honest with you. I journal every day. I've journaled this morning, things about this video, ideas for the future, to-dos. Sometimes I'll share, I mean, I've written a little intro for my one-day workshops that are due to be released soon in collaboration with Light and Land. So my journal is full of just things that, well, sometimes need to be done, and impulsive things such as that piece of writing for A Year Amongst Trees. Although at the time, I didn't realize what it was for. To me, in the moment, it was something that I talked about soul. I believe it was something that my soul and my heart had led me to do that morning. I don't know if you're anything like me, but often you get these urges that are sometimes so strong that you cannot ignore them, and you simply have to explore. You have to do those things. I believe that is the soul, the heart's intuition leading us towards our purpose, our highest purpose as human beings. And mine at the time was to write about A Year Amongst Trees, and also it's what led me into the trees. So throughout the process, the process of photographing the woodland, I kind of developed this understanding that I was being led there for some reason. And it was only when themes and styles started to emerge around lots of those woodland images that had themes of stillness and quiet and peace and harmony and balance and light and dark and all of these kinds of things that just started to emerge as my intuition led me down the path. And I kept, taking photographs day in, day out, week in, week out. I noticed all of these things emerging. Firstly, I noticed that I was being drawn to trees, and secondly, all of these themes had emerged. So why? Why was I being drawn to trees? Well, that's where the journal came in handy, and I began to sit and explore my reasons for being drawn to the woodland. And I mentioned before in my portfolio of A Year Amongst Trees, I touch upon kind of themes of the revisiting the inner child, themes of healing, meditation, stillness, of course, those kinds of things. Well, my love of woodland began back when I was a child, and I tell the story online if you want to go have a look at my portfolio. But the idea that I loved woodlands when I was young, and then I gravitated back to the woodland as an adult, really piqued my interest and curiosity and led me into the pages of my journal, where I began to write about my love. And if you're watching and you haven't explored with the process of writing, then I can highly recommend it, that you start with whatever knowledge that you have around the practice of journaling and writing. I can assure you that you will notice some increasing self-understanding through this process, because there is something incredibly special about just writing and letting the pen lead you, not knowing where you're going to get to, and all of a sudden you're 3 or 4 paragraphs in and something comes out of your head, often you don't know where it comes from, that is just of real interest and real, like, oh wow, I didn't know that that was in me. I'm going to explore and reflect upon that thought, that theme, and understand myself in a deeper way because of it. With that in mind, I thought I'd share with you a few of the questions that I've been asking myself over the past 7 years of creativity, that can lead to some deeper understanding. They're kind of journal prompts that you, if you like, you can go away and reflect again upon these. I hope that these videos will be a kind of back and forth, where you come and watch some, maybe pause for a little while and go away and think and meditate and adopt some introspection processes such as this. So the first question to think about is, who am I? Who are you? Is it something that you've asked yourself before? Who am I? It seems so simple, but when we break it down and we begin to understand what a human being is, beyond conditioning, beyond limiting beliefs, beyond what our parents have told us that we are, beyond what our peers have told us that we are, then it is a question that can just completely open up so many realms of exploration. So maybe that's something you'd like to go away and think about now. Who am I? Another one, why am I outdoors creating? As photographers in particular, I think I mentioned before that it's quite rare, I think, in the world of photography to see people who are perhaps pursuing it as more of an artistic medium rather than a place a medium to go out and explore places, and can often be guilty of overlooking the reasons why we are outdoors. Another question, what makes me unique? What are the experiences that I've experienced through my life so far that make me different to you, and you different to me, and me different to everybody in the world? I mean, nobody is the same here on earth, right? We've all experienced things in many different ways. We might have experienced things very similarly, but interpreted them in a very different way, which has completely changed the makeup of who we are. So there's another one. What makes you what you are? Another question, what do you stand for? What are your morals, beliefs, and values? This is something that can really lead us to, I guess, develop a kind of mission with our work, and to develop those themes and those kind of portfolios that can contribute towards something. What do we believe in? What changes do you want to see in the world? Another question is, and this ties into legacy. I don't know whether you're a believer in legacies. I certainly am. In what are we going to leave behind? What stories are we going to leave behind when we leave this earth? So what do you want to leave behind? You know, one of my key ideas behind anything, any venture, is to begin with the end in mind. It's to start now with a focus of where we're going to end up. And of course, the ultimate end is that we leave the earth and all that's left are what we've passed on to other people through our writings, through our conversations, through our interactions with other people. So what is it that you would like to leave behind when you leave the earth? Okay, another thing to think about when developing your portfolio and building themes around your images is to follow this, to follow your heart, to follow your intuition, and to go where you feel most drawn. Because it is these places, I believe, that can teach us the most about ourselves as people, and that can lead then to the development of these themes and ideas and portfolio development ideas behind our art. So often, particularly here in the Western culture, we rule with these. I even caught myself before talking about writing and how I didn't know what came out of my head. But actually, sometimes it's what comes out of my heart that is unique and is of most interest. And I think photography, the practice of photography in particular, is heart-led for me anyway. And maybe it's something for you to reflect upon in your own practice. Are you leading with this? Are you leading with your feelings? Is that something you even want to do? You might be different. Maybe you enjoy the process of thinking. For me, it's all about emotion. It's all about feeling. It's all about putting a piece of my heart into the images so that they awaken something in the viewer on the other end, and so the viewer can feel, in many ways, something similar to what I was feeling at the time of creating. So for me, following the intuition, following the heart is something that I deeply believe is important when it comes to building work and building portfolios that represent us as artists. So perhaps another question is, where is your intuition? Where is your heart leading you, because if you follow that, then you're guaranteed to make photographs that are most impactful and most likely to resonate with a viewer on the other end, which is what I really want from my portfolios. And maybe, again, what is it that you want from your portfolio? It doesn't have to align with what I want, but I hope that this video can just help to unlock something inside of your mind that allows you to express your vision and express your message through this development of a portfolio. So don't take all of these ideas as literal and that you have to go and do what I've done. Find your own vision, find your own truth through this creative journey, and that is the most important thing that you can do, is to listen to this and to follow your heart. With all of that in mind, one thing that I find to be particularly powerful, and this especially over the past few months of curating this exhibition that I'm currently in the process of doing, is to revisit old photographs, to go and reflect upon the things that you've created so far, and to adopt that process of elimination, that maybe you look at a photograph and it just doesn't say anything, and you look at it and think, I don't connect. If you don't connect with it, then chances are that somebody on the other end isn't going to connect as well. So maybe that's time to eliminate those photographs from your portfolio and to continue to include the ones that speak to you. And sometimes these ones that you revisit actually speak to you in different ways. And I speak from personal experience there, in that quite often I look back through portfolios and something new, completely different emerges from a certain photograph, and I look at it and I think that's really resonating again for some reason, and that can inspire a whole new realm of thought and ideas around why. And again, linking it back to the journaling process, the process of writing that I love so much, those kinds of feelings of looking back through old work and feeling something again is an opportunity to go back into the journal and to maybe add new layers of depth to a certain photograph and give it new meaning. I know I talked a little bit before about the theme of stillness and about an essay that I produced titled Seeking Stillness. Well, that essay was actually birthed 18 months after the creation of the photographs that are linked to that essay. So that was 18 months of reflection, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. There always is a kind of subconscious process going on inside of me that is constantly reflecting and further understanding my work and my why. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the subconscious mind and the conscious mind, because firstly, I don't understand it from a logical point of view yet, to be honest. I just know that that subconscious element to growth and development as an artist is incredibly powerful, because it's a process. Once we bring it into the conscious mind through, for example, the practice of writing and the practice, and speaking to people and to ourselves and to the camera, for example. But that process can actually allow that subconscious to get a hold of it and to do a lot of the work for us in the background. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Okay, one final thing now that I believe can be particularly useful to help to shape us as artists and to help us develop our own themes and our own portfolios with our work, is to look outside of ourselves at our sources of inspiration. I believe that everything that we enjoy can help to shape who we are and can guide us further towards refining our vision and our style, and who we are as people. And that is particularly important, to gain more understanding of who we are as people, so that we can gain more understanding of the art that we're producing. They are not separate, I believe. I believe that we are creating parts of ourselves through the works that we're creating, and we are a product of all of the things that we commit our attention to. There's a beautiful Ansel Adams quote, I can't remember it now for the life of me off the top of my head, word for word, but I'll place it on the screen now. But it's around the idea that we are, or our photographs are, a combination of everything we've ever experienced, all of the books we've read, the movies we've watched, and the people we've ever loved. And I believe that that is so true. I believe that our works represent who we are as people, and for us to understand who we are as people, we need to understand what it is that we love, what it is that we enjoy to do, what it is that we are inspired by. And that in many ways points us back towards our hearts and towards our intuition, and for us to better understand where it is that our hearts are drawing us, because by looking into our hearts, I believe we can begin to refine the work that best represents who we are as people. And that, I believe, is what this creative journey is all about. I hope that what I've shared with you today has been worthwhile. I hope that you've enjoyed watching the video. Feel free to leave me a comment with your thoughts below, both positive and negative, by the way. I'm somebody that absolutely loves feedback of both kinds. And somebody at a recent presentation came up to me afterwards and offered me some potentially negative criticism, which I embraced and loved. And I said to her, thank you so much for your thoughts. And she said, it's okay. I thought that you were somebody that could handle them, which, yes, I can handle negative, honest feedback. So please share if you have any recommendations for me of how to improve this video. I hope it was kind of structured well enough. It's my first video in a long time, and I don't know how it's going to have come across when I edit this. But please, yeah, share some thoughts, share some ideas. And if this has been useful, then I'd love to know. If you'd like to join a Facebook community where you can leave comments and leave thoughts and leave ideas for me to build upon, then I will leave a link down in my description. It's a closed group, a private group that I've been building over the past few years. I'm currently at around 48 members, and I'd love to grow it to 100 this year. So if you'd love to join in, then please follow the link in the description and engage with the community. For other things mentioned through this video, essays and portfolios, see the description as well. I'll link them all. And if you'd love to join me on a workshop, then I'm going to link in my photography workshops that are upcoming this year, not just my own, but mine in collaboration with Light and Land, who I've recently joined as a tutor. So with all of that now, I'll say thank you for watching, and I look forward to bringing you another video in the future.